Now, with someone here, I think you were possibly listening to that sport bulletin because I was trying to count the number of clubs you've been involved with. We mentioned Arsenal, we started with. Newcastle, got to mention?
Well, I started with Tottenham.
Tottenham, well, yeah, they weren't in our bulletin. But yeah, Sol Campbell, welcome to BBC Breakfast.
Thank you.
Welcome, Sol.
Lovely to have you here. You're here because you have written about a really fascinating career in the Premier League, international football, and you're one of those players I can remember reporting on you many, many times. We never really knew what was going on.
Yes.
Lots of people guessed, and now you've told us.
Yes, in the entirety, really. It's a special book. It's inspirational. Took a lot of courage for me to actually come together with the writer Simon Astaire to produce this book. There's moments, there's been wonderful moments in my life in football, and there's been, the ups and downs is quite the arc of my life and the journey. It's been a roller coaster, but it's been a lovely experience.
Reading it, I can tell that you're obviously a really private person. Was it uncomfortable to talk about all of this stuff?
Yes, it took a lot out of me, really. I'm a very private person, but I just thought it was time for me to talk. After retiring and taking my time and stepping back and reflecting on my life, I just felt it was the right time for me to do this. And it's my story. I've walked through all these scenarios, and it's a story worth telling.
So let's cut to the chase. You'll have been prepared for this question, I know. There was a phrase in the book that inevitably, and you would have known this in advance, attracted a lot of attention. And for those who didn't hear it, what you said was, I believe that if I was white, I would have been England captain for over 10 years. Now, I know you've gone on to say what you meant was you would have been captain for more frequently, rather than for a duration. But the principle of what you're saying remains. The suggestion is that you think the system, the FA, was racist. Am I getting that right? Because it's become confused in this argument, because some people have said afterwards, you simply didn't have the character traits to be captain. That's the explanation. Now that, I guess, is an argument people might have, but do you maintain your principal position, which is there was a reason to do with the colour of your skin that you were not captain more often?
First thing, character-wise, I had the character because I've captained most of my clubs I've been at. So I had that in me from an early age. I was one of the youngest, the second youngest captain ever for England. So it's there. And I've won being a captain for Tottenham and at Portsmouth. And even at Arsenal was the situation, the captaincy was offered, but I kind of thought, well, it would have been too much. So that side, I think that argument's out the door. Secondly, I think it's more subconsciously with maybe the FA or people who are powers to be. Maybe yes, I think if I was, white, I think it'd have been a different kind of situation.
When you say subconsciously, I don't know what that means. Do you think that there were meetings going on at a point in time where they're literally saying it or thinking?
I think more
we can't have a black, a black captain of England is not what we want in the long term.
Yeah, because in the book you've got Lord Treesman saying basically, my colour is not fitting for them as being a captain for the FA. So that's in the book. Lord Treesman actually said that. So maybe hopefully in the future that is changed. Like if someone of my level comes again, maybe they might think differently.
Do you realistically think things have changed?
I think parts of the FA and the system has changed, but there's been massive improvements in a lot of departments, and they've got to be congratulated. But there's a long way to go.
And race, I know, is something that had been a problem for you from very early on. There's a story in the book about, I think, when you were with West Ham, a coach making a comment to you.
Yeah.
What was that?
It was I've just finished training. And I think, England were playing West Indies at the time, and he came
cricket.
Cricket. And he came up to me and said, well, cheer up, so you're 2-1 up. At the time, West Indies were 2-1 up in the series, so obviously he thought I was from a the Caribbean and not from England.
What would you say to the people who would say that during that time when you were playing for England, and for much of that time, I guess, there were some great players also in that team. David Beckham was captain for a significant amount of time. He was Sven-Göran Eriksson's captain. He chose him. Why do you think he was chosen over you?
I don't know. Maybe with David, he fitted a lot of the criteria. But my argument is not that. David was a fantastic captain. My side of it is that I was the vice captain, and all of a sudden I wasn't vice captain for no reason. It was kind of moved around me, the captaincy. So I was thinking, well, what am I doing wrong? As I was playing, I was getting better and better. I was one of the best defenders in the world at one stage, and was, for a short period of time, the best defender in the world. So I was thinking, well, I've kind of filled a lot of criteria, and obviously, why wasn't the captaincy passed my way?
You say yourself that you're naturally quite a shy person. You don't put yourself out there, but there are parts of the book that are very, very personal. And I just wanted, maybe you'd share with us something about your relationship with your dad, because he was quite authoritarian. This is what I took from reading the book. And then he fell ill and died, at which point you had an extraordinary moment with him, didn't you? And it was a sort of realisation of the kind of relationship you had with him. Just tell us a little bit about that. Well,
when he was dying, or when?
Well, I mean, there was a moment in time, wasn't there? He was literally on his deathbed.
Yes.
And you held his hand.
Held his hand. And that's a special moment. I wanted to kind of, give myself up and almost go towards him, because he was back end of the colonialism in Jamaica, so I had to understand the way he was brought up. And he was trying to kind of show love, but it was very difficult for people.
And the reason I mentioned the hand holding was because I think you said in the book that he'd never hugged you.
Yeah, in that sense, in a loving way. But you have to look what's behind the man and what he's been through.
And how do you think your relationship with him affected you as you were growing up? Do you think it changed you as a player in some ways? Because he never really recognised your talent, did he?
Well, in my family, you just got on with things. I'm the last kid of 12, so you had to kind of get on with things, and people were just get on with their day and wondering where the next pound was coming from. So I was the same, just get on and work in football or work at school. It was, you just got on.
Did you ever feel like he was proud of you?
Hopefully he, deep down, hopefully he did feel that, because, what I've achieved is just remarkable. And all the time I've played football, I've been very privileged. I've been in a position where a lot of people would be, give their right arm for. So I'm happy to played 20 years in football and represented my country at the highest level. I've gone all the way through from 14 to the first team. So that was a special time for me, and a wonderful time which I will cherish for the rest of my life.
Lovely to see you here this morning. Thank you very much for coming in for us.
Thanks, Sol.
Thank you.
And Sol Campbell's biography is available now.